Within the Mind of Jordan West contains all of the knowledge possible on earth about leveraging creators in your e-commerce business with a focus on TikTok shops, but also with the ability to have creator relationships across every channel that you are on. And that's why today I have brought him on the show to talk about how creators play into your brand strategy. Jordan is the CEO of Social Commerce Club, an agency that focuses specifically on helping e-commerce brands engage with creators, specifically TikTok shop. You can talk more about exactly what they do, but the point is this: creators need to be a part of your brand strategy, something I'm thinking about a ton at AGF Growth right now. And so I've brought Jordan on because he knows what he's talking about with this, because he does it all day. Let's get into it right now with Jordan West from Social Commerce Club. Let's do it. Hello, we talked just the other day, and here we are talking again. How you doing?
I feel like I talk to you more than I talk to like my team. So this is really, really exciting, Andrew. I think
thought you were going to say your wife, but
I'm
glad you didn't say your wife. I thought that's what you were going to say, or your children. Yeah.
No, I talk to her a lot lot right now. I was telling you she's 4 months pregnant. So like, or 4 months pregnant. We're pregnant with our fourth kid. No, she's like very pregnant right now. So
okay.
No, we're talking all the time.
Yeah, good. Yeah. Yeah. You just had me on your show to talk about which is called Secrets of Scaling Your E-commerce Brand. And we talked about I don't know if it's contrarian opinion about AI. I'm not sure. Anyway, about AI and AI creative. And you are on my show to talk about the opposite of AI, which is humans, actual creators talking about brands. So maybe you can help just give the quick bona fides on why you are qualified to talk about creator relationships with brands. Like, what do you do all day, and help people understand your context just in case they don't know.
So I would say I'm decently qualified to talk about this just because of the amount of at-bats that I've had in this arena. So I've owned 7 different e-commerce brands. I say 7, but it's actually like more like 9. If you include hoverboards.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
But I'm just going to say 7 because that's kind of like my thing. I'd rather be lower than higher.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And so I have
you're at a number where it's hard to remember how many. That's the point.
Oh, totally. Yeah. It's a lot. And one of the things that I hated the most was working with influencers. I will tell you, I despised working with influencers because there was so much opaqueness, right? It was like, okay, what exactly do we, like, how are we going to pay you? What are we going to get for that? Is there any sort of performance, incentives in any of this? And I just never really found that we were able to get what we wanted. And then there's the whole UGC side of things where it's like, I don't know. I feel like you can see through UGC videos, a lot of times. Now there's AI UGC, right? Which we've been talking a little bit about of like, do we like AI UGC? I do a little bit of SaaS founder consulting, and one of my SaaS founders is building this out right now. And every time we talk, I'm kind of just like, I don't know. I don't know if I love it. And you and I talked extensively about this on my pod, right? And what we think about AI creative and sort of where you're at with it. For me, at our agency, we've worked with, I think, close to 100 brands now on TikTok Shop. And I will tell you, not all of them have been successful. So if you can trust me with anything, it's the fact that we have tried everything up until this point. And I'm obsessed with it as a central brand strategy, creators as a central brand strategy.
People used to talk about influencers. They don't talk about influencers anymore. They do, actually, but they talk about creators more often. And there's some definition of terms that could be done. And in fact, one of the things that really stood out to me at the Meta Performance Marketing Summit just a couple weeks ago was that they had a big emphasis on creator relationships. And while I expected them to talk all about generative AI for creative, they actually didn't talk about that almost at all. It barely came up at the conference. Instead, it was like how to optimize your strategy for Reels and how to use creators to do that, and how you can use their marketplace to connect with creators. Which, forget any of those individual things, just receive it as a comment about what they are focused on, which I think actually fits the thing that you are telling me you want to talk about today, and I think is really helpful, which is this idea of the sort of creator-centric relationships that brands are going to be having and the continuing development of that. That's in some respect not news, but in another respect, I actually think it's really interesting because of how much push there is on the AI side of things and generative AI and all that kind of stuff. So I don't want to put any words in your mouth. Tell me what you think, what it is you're talking about. Like in the sense of when you say, creator relationships are like so central and part of your thesis for the future. I can't remember if you were recording already when you said that to me or if it was beforehand, but
no, it was before. It was before.
Okay,
this
great.
This is a big thing.
Okay, this is a reveal. So so say your thesis and define what you mean by creator when you do.
So when I say creator, let me first tell you a story. And it's funny because I actually see her talking on the WhatsApp group right now. There is a creator in our creator community at Social Commerce Club who did last month alone for a brand $250,000 in sales, and she has less than 10,000 followers. She is not an influencer. An influencer has a big following and builds trust. Creators do not do that. Now, can they be trustworthy? Absolutely. But because of the way that the TikTok algorithm works and every other platform's algorithm now, it is based on content, not on your followers, right? And so it's your content that goes viral, right? And so you don't have to have a lot of followers as a creator to actually make a decent amount of money. And now when you think that like affiliate fees are anywhere between 10 and 20% for high GMV creators like that, she's making a lot of money, right? This is the big difference between creators and and influencers, right? Is that creators are out there and really good at selling products. What I like to say, Andrew, is like, this is the new era of like, this is the new MLM, the new multi-level marketing for moms that are out there, right? That are like, hey, I'm really good at selling this stuff, right? The cool thing is, right, these creators, they don't need to worry about their brand. And so they can do a lot of really fun things versus somebody who's building a personal brand, right, and needs to really protect. I mean, you and I know this like absolutely inherently. You and I are, I would say, are influencers in the space, in the B2B space. And it's very different because when somebody approaches me with a software, I will tell you the first thing I am is skeptical, and I will not talk about that software. I highly, highly regret. I sent out an unsolicited email to my list about a software that I thought was absolutely incredible because of the promises. I didn't get paid or anything for it. And it turns out this software is garbage. It is not working. I think at some point they're going to get it to work. Again, I don't want to mention them, but like, that's what an influencer does. They have to care about their personal trust and image, whereas creators don't. They just really don't.
So why do you think it's interesting? The MLM comparison is an interesting thing. I've had the same thought at times, but you just clarified the person doesn't have to have a lot of followers, but they actually have to be good at selling, and it's like a new version of an MLM. So do you think that like MLMs, this is like engagement with creator relationships is something that some brands should do in particular, and not necessarily something that every brand should be doing? Or do you think that more brands should be making creator relationships, whether it's on TikTok Shop or otherwise, like really, really central to the, like, essentially, like, how widespread should the adoption be of creator relationships like this?
So I think that every single brand should be building a creator pool that they are working with that actually like their product and know how to talk about it and are incentivized in a win-win sort of fashion to be able to actually do that.
You know that I love more staffing. I just sent another client to more staffing to go chase down great quality talent in the Philippines for your e-commerce business. And if you're thinking about the Philippines as like $5 an hour or less, virtual assistant level talent, etc., I can just tell you for certain that you are thinking about it wrong. You are missing out on the opportunity. And I know that because my business is being built with a majority of my team based in the Philippines, staffed by More Staffing or one of its sister companies. And that's because More Staffing is led by incredible Filipino executives who have built businesses in the US, who came from e-commerce businesses in the US. They know what it is like to be in the day-to-day of e-commerce businesses at every level, like from assistant levels all the way up through executive levels in those businesses. And therefore, they can help you staff your business with best-in-class talent from the Philippines, people who are native English speakers, who understand American culture if you're an American-based business, who are a short flight away from lots of places where you manufacture in the world, if you bring people on the manufacturing side, who are experienced as video editors, who are experienced on supply chain, who are experienced in marketing. There's people across every step, every moment, every place in an e-commerce organization that can help your business, and More Staffing helps you do that. They will recruit, help you onboard, They will provide ongoing training and coaching for your employees in your business, and they'll even give you a 1-year guarantee on Filipino talent in your business. So if they help you hire somebody, that person does not make it in your organization for a year, well, then in that case, they will replace that person for free, which is way longer than most headhunting firms will allow you to do. Listen, I think there's a massive opportunity for brands to keep their OpEx low and add great talent at the same time and provide amazing job experiences for people in the Philippines. It's a win-win in every possible way. I recommend you do it with More Staffing, because instead of just finding the cheapest talent, they're going to help you find the best talent at a price that is much lower than finding equivalent talent elsewhere. Go to morestaffing.co/AF, morestaffing.co/AF, or follow the link in the show notes of this episode to get a conversation started with More Staffing today.
Right? That's why I love TikTok Shop. That's why I understood TikTok Shop when it came around. And that's why Instagram has yet to be able to replicate this, right? Instagram's got the algorithm, right? They've got some of the creators, but I would argue, I mean, if you saw recently, it was like about 6 months ago, maybe it was like 3 to 6 months ago. I don't know. Time just flies. When Instagram and Meta were actually offering $300,000 for big TikTok creators to come over and only post on Instagram, right? Why? Because TikTok has the best creators, right? They really do. The creators that understand that platform are incredible, and that content travels really well. That content travels everywhere, right? It travels over to Meta, travels over to YouTube Shorts, right? Which there's tons and tons of inventory over there right now. You might even be watching this clip on YouTube Shorts right now. How meta would that be? It travels over to Pinterest. It travels over onto your PDPs, right? All of this content is absolutely incredible. Not only that, these creators really have the reins to be able to do what they want. You cannot just go and approve their content. Now, there is one way that you can do that now. But it's actually you're paying in sort of a different sort of way, and it costs you a lot more if you want to do that. But I would say for the most part, these creators get to sort of have the reins, and that's the beautiful thing. There's massive brands that are coming to us now, Andrew, that are like, well, we think that we might just get rid of our product testers, right? We might get rid of like any of those like whatever you call those groups, like focus groups, because they're getting all of their marketing material and they're figuring out what people actually want. There's a brand that we work with, and they launched a shoe there was a shoe. It was just like an absolute dog. And they're like, hey, let's try and sell this on TikTok Shop. Well, one of our creators created a viral video with it. This shoe ended up completely selling out everywhere, retail, D2C, TikTok Shop, everywhere this shoe sold out. It was just crazy. They then got Sydney Sweeney to be the face of this shoe afterwards. A shoe that was literally like they just wanted to get rid of. And now it's one of their top selling shoes in their line. That's crazy. That's crazy. And that would not have happened without TikTok Shop. That's why I love this idea of these creators over here specifically.
I mean, what I hear everybody say about TikTok Shop is that the investment is like extremely massive on the front end, but you also just said something else, which is that like maybe the real key is like just getting people actually liking the product first. And that doesn't feel like necessarily a huge investment to do. That means doing a lot of product seeding and finding people who really love it. Like, what is the starting place for this for brands? Like, let's say I'm running a $10 million a year e-commerce brand. I've got some money. I'm doing well. I'm trying to get past just Meta only. You know, I don't need to like pinch every single penny. If I blow 50 grand doing this, it's not going to be the end of the world necessarily, you know, it's a lot, 50 grand, but yeah, anyway, like how should that kind of brand start?
So that brand should spend that $50,000 on month one. So this is really the playbook that I have heard that works for us. This is the playbook that I have heard over and over again. I was recently listening to an incredible interview with the founder of NeuroGum, and he basically went through, and I was like, that's the playbook. That's the play. No wonder it works. They're pouring 75% of their budget now. And this is a 9-figure brand, right? And has become a 9-figure brand this year, by the way, right? By pouring 75% of their budget into TikTok Shop. They are no longer prospecting on Meta. That's crazy. They're just retargeting on Meta. They're running PMAX over on Google to capture all that. Their entire top of funnel right now, a 9-figure brand, everyone, is running on TikTok Shop, right? So this is what's really interesting, right? Is all of this. So let's go into that budget, and then I'm going to talk about going on to different platforms, right? Because obviously, do I still believe in Meta? Yes. Like still, I was doing a webinar recently with Final Loop and with Triple Whale, and Triple Whale brought up some interesting stats, right? Essentially 3% of all marketing budgets on D2C is spent on TikTok. 3%. And it's like 70% on Meta. So by no means is TikTok going anywhere. But as far as like capturing a ton of the purchase power out there. But what's interesting is that their CPMs are actually dropping massively. So there's continual demand on the platform, continual eyeballs and more, 1,000 impressions that are on the platform. But demand has not kept up with it, which is why it's still the best possible opportunity for brands to do it. So,
but hold on. I have to stop you there because
no. I just want to keep going.
CPMs are reflective of the value. The reason the CPMs are dropping is precisely the same reason that the spend is so low, right? It's because people aren't seeing a return, and therefore money leaves the platform, and therefore gets cheaper. It's the same. It's the counter. That's the other side of the thing everybody says about Meta, which is like everybody's like, oh, CPMs are going up every year. It's like, yeah, that's because it keeps working better all the time. Like the value is increasing, and you get what you pay for, and they're actually getting more efficient at matching people. And also inflation, and also inflation is a thing, by the way. But when I hear the idea that like TikTok CPMs are so low, I consider that kind of a negative. Like if CPMs are going down, I suggest that means that unless you are incredibly savvy in some way, like this 9-figure brand you talked about, right? I look at that and say, like, isn't that because the value is reflected? And it kind of brings me back to my question, which is like, in the early stages for a brand, again, that sort of low 8-figure brand, I am like completely with you and thinking so much right now about like, how do I get the brands that are working with me to be thinking more about creator relationships? It seems like such a massive, overwhelming opportunity if you can do it well, but there's some kind of blocker there early on. And part of it might be that 50 grand that we talked about blowing, which if you do that in the first month and it doesn't go well, you are not going back there. It's not happening. Like you're just going to be like, nope, I tried that. And I'm going to wait for 2 years until we're, whatever. So
do you know how few? So I'm going to talk to the CPM part because I actually have a different take on it. So number one, do you know how few D2C brands are on the platform? I don't know the numbers exactly, but what I know is that it's very, very few D2C brands as a majority of brands that are out there. The reason that I know this is that I have had 2 meetings with TikTok the last 2 days begging me to put something on to get D2C brands in, and they're going to do the entire onboardings for them for free if they come through me. And I'm like, okay, so they really want brands doing $1 million plus, which is like a lot of brands, right? There's a lot of brands that are in that $1 million plus range that are in D2C, but they can't seem to get them over to TikTok Shop. And I really, truly believe it's because of this cold start problem.
I think that's exactly right. It's because when you get started, you just like, again, if you're $1 million brand, if it's going to cost 50 grand to get going, like you just can't do it. It's done. It's over. You can't do it unless you're
totally,
funny, And
totally. You certainly can't hire an agency to do it, right?
That's right.
And the problem is there's not really a lot of great advice out there and a lot of like great playbooks as far as like what to do on TikTok Shop. So let me walk you through the playbook of whatever budget you have.
Do it.
Do not spread it over 6 months. This is not one of those platforms, right? What you need to create is this instance. And we're going to go back to CPMs, just, Andrew, I'm not forgetting about that because I do have an argument.
Great.
And we'll argue back and forth on that.
This is our 4th podcast together. We haven't done enough arguing. It's time. Now.
Yeah. So it's definitely time. So if you have that amount of budget, what you are trying to do, the feeling that you're trying to do is, oh my gosh, I am seeing them everywhere. Not just for the customers that are out there, right? But this is also for the creators, right? Remember, at the end of the day, I don't really care that much about TikTok Shop. I care about the fact that people are buying things differently. And I truly think my take on AI is that it is going to push humans to want to buy from humans even more. That we are going to sniff out AI so fast. I mean, it, like LinkedIn and Twitter are just like great examples of I'm going to be honest, I've got this like Jordan bot that will write posts for me. I try it almost every day, and every single day I'm like, nah, garbage. No, garbage. Because I can sniff it out, and I'm like, if I can, I know someone else will. And I just don't like that. I'll use it to like maybe get some inspiration. But we all, I think, are going to be incredibly tuned to what is human and what is not. And creators are a really big part of that, right? Maybe at some point, AI will figure it out exactly. And it's incredible. I mean, AI is just like, can you imagine us talking about this 5 years ago? Like AI could barely write a good sentence at that point. Like Copy AI, I remember it came out and it was like, this is garbage. Now, at least we're at a place where it's like, oh, okay, you're a B player. You're a solid B player in most ways. Now, as an executive thinker, I would say it's an A+ player. That is where people are not using it enough, in my opinion. I talk to it more than I talk to my executive team. Sorry, everyone, if you're watching this, but you're probably not. Throwing my team under the bus here. I know I love my team. Just everyone knows, really love them. When I think about what to do, though, you want to create that moment. And so actually, let me call out one of my heads of department, Liz Davis, who runs our social commerce department. I want to call her out because I think that she has an incredible take on this. And the take is this. Take all of that money you would have spent in the first 3 to 6 months and instead pre-seed your product out there before you even go live on TikTok Shop. So get your product out there. Now, we have the advantage of doing that at the agency, and I'm just going to run through like how we would do that. We have a big group of creators. We have a ton of high GMV creators. They do over $50,000 a month. We pre-seed to them and to the high potential ones who are doing between 10 and 50,000. We pre-seed to them. So 200 of them posting. Right. So these are these high GMV, high potential creators. We seed out to them, and then we take as much possible ad spend as we can, and we just flood TikTok with as much ad spend as possible as they are posting. So we say, hey, we want you to post between, let's just say, Friday at noon and Saturday at noon. And we're getting as many possible posts out there. We want you each to post 5 times, and we're going to put a ton of ad spend behind this. That's when the algorithm looks and they're like, whoa, this product's really taking off. Oh my gosh, they made 1,000 sales this day, 2,000 sales this day. And now that product starts to get pushed out more. Now, creators are ones that are on the platform all the time because they're constantly looking for trends, right? And they're on the platform and they're like, whoa, I'm like constantly seeing this brand. Man, let me see if they have an open collab and see if I can get on there, right? That is how you create a snowball. And now, this is where most brands totally fall flat. And as an agency, something that I saw ages ago was going to be the biggest thing is then capturing those creators in a group. Because again, if only 3% of spend is happening on TikTok, TikTok's great. But like this morning I was looking and the top brands on TikTok Shop are doing like 7.5 million a month. Like yawn. No one cares right about that. And that's why I think that a ton of D2C brands have not taken it seriously yet, because they don't understand. The majority of people don't understand. And I'm sure I've used this phrase with you before, Andrew. So don't think it's not unique to me. Okay. But most people have no idea what a hockey stick looks like in an exponential curve. Most people are standing at the bottom of an exponential curve and are like, oh, like think about the amount of stuff you and I have gone through in our life where we're looking, we're like, oh, the mobile revolution. I remember my wife was working as a graphic designer at the time and people were talking about this mobile revolution. I didn't realize it. I had no clue what a hockey stick looks like. Now I do. And this is that. In AI and in creators, we have 2 hockey sticks right now, and I am taking advantage of both of them right now.
The fastest way that I know of to get building and testing landing pages and funnels in your e-commerce business fast is with FERMAT. FERMAT Commerce, fermatcommerce.com/AF is where you go to get started with FERMAT to experience the fastest, best landing page and funnel builder that I know of. You can build truly custom funnels all the way through every part of your landing page and funnel experience with FERMAT, and you can do it really, really fast and really, really easily. That's basically what FERMAT is all about. They're all about making it possible for direct response advertisers to spin out landing page and funnel experiences that are going to be great and high converting for customers at as much scale as possible, as quickly as possible, so that you can go do the kind of performance marketing that moves the needle for your brand or for your client's brands. FERMAT allows you to customize every part of the process extremely easily and quickly. Of course, they're building AI into every step of their funnel building process. You can build custom cart upsells. You can build all kinds of offer testing with very easy in-platform testing environments so that you know which funnels are working, which ones are not. The basic point here is this. If you want the most robust landing page software that exists out there and the most customizable landing page software, you should go to fermatcommerce.com/AF to build. Landing page undersells it. It actually does way more than just landing pages, but it's really cool, really slick software. Go check it out today, fermatcommerce.com/AF. Just get on a call and take a tour of the product and see how cool it is. It really is something. My clients use it. You will love it too. So to come back to my question, so one potential argument to your point is, take the risk and be aggressive, right? Like essentially like, yeah, it's an opportunity unlike other opportunities. You need to just go try to capitalize on it, and it's worth taking a pretty big bet on. If that's the answer, that's the answer. Like if that's what you're saying, I think that's possible for plenty of brands. What I really wonder about is like, is there some way? I mean, even just at the level of like creator relationships, product seeding, those kinds of things, is there some way to build relationships that you feel better about in advance of this, to where you've got people in some way making content for you that doesn't require that big of an investment up front, and then like I don't know, maybe that's just exactly the thing you said not to do, but I'm trying to sort through, like, if I want creators who actually like my product or who actually understand and know how to talk about my product, it just always feels like that takes time. It just takes time. It takes a lot of reaching out to people. It takes a lot of people going like, I don't care, and ignoring it. And you have to sort of sort through. It's like almost like LinkedIn cold calling or something, which I assume works for somebody because I get so many of those messages all the time. But I'm assuming it's like a low conversion rate at a high volume. And maybe is that the answer for TikTok, or is it just like, yeah, you just have to just like hammer your spend in that first month and go for it?
So I really do think it's the second, unfortunately. I would
great.
I'd love to tell brands like, oh yeah, go ahead, go low and slow and figure this out. And I've seen that. And I've seen brands that have wanted to do that with us. And we used to say like, yeah, that's okay. We can start like that. I don't believe in that anymore. I just don't. I don't think that is the way that the platform works. It's not the way the algorithm works, right? Like, look at the way the algorithm works, and what it's trying to do is create moments, right? It's really good at creating moments and taking those moments and then putting them in front of people. That's what it's good at. And so is the ideal brand then maybe a brand that is like pumping profit, is trying to diversify from Meta, and is ready to go take a bigger bet. Essentially, like, what I hear in that advice is that like a lot of brands should not do the thing that TikTok asked you to get people to do, which is like go over to the platform and start engaging with it. Because if they go and do that, they are going to not be able to invest in it seriously enough. It's just going to be like a little shiny object thing that they don't actually take seriously. The brands that should go over there and do it, it sounds like, if I understand your approach to this correctly, is it should be a brand that is like more mature, is generating some profit, and is ready to go like, all right, I did a bunch of money last year. I am ready to take my next bet on my next thing, and we're going to go push in on it. And that means that brand's probably doing 20 million plus, and sort of more or whatever, 15 plus at a big bottom line, and is ready to go make a bigger investment. I think that there's a third way in here somewhere, right?
Okay.
And this third way is that I love organic content more than anything. I think that whatever works organic is generally going to work fairly well as an ad, right? That's what the platform wants. That's what Meta, that's what YouTube, they want you to stay on the platform as long as possible. They reward you with lower CPMs generally when you do that comparatively to the platform CPM, right? That's why I love tracking CPMs, and we could fight over that if you want. But generally that's what they want you to do, right? And so my actually other way that I would get a brand to go in is to create 10 to 20 pieces of content every single day on your brand handle. Now, I have the good graces of TikTok, and they will always tell me, because I ask them, I'm like, hey, what are your KPIs this month? Or what are your KPIs this quarter or this 6 months? Because that's what I know the algorithm's going to do. So I will tell you, TikTok will like kill me. But I will tell you what they care about right now is brand content. They want brand handles to, number one, go live. And number two, they want them to create content and run ads off the brand handles. I don't exactly know what their play is there, but I like it. I like it a lot.
It's to build Facebook, man. It's in terms of the ad revenue.
Yeah, right? Totally. Yes. Yeah. Yes, totally. And so they want to get as much possible content onto the platform as they can from brands, right? Think about like the biggest, I was watching this Gary Vee clip the other day. It's like the biggest opportunity right now is Facebook organic for brands, because no one's posting. I'm like, when's the last time I've posted on Facebook as a brand? Because there used to be no reach.
That's so funny. Yeah.
It's so funny.
That's so funny.
Most things, unless it's like crypto, I love Gary Vee on. And I think that he's like really got a very good sort of eye of what's going on. Yeah, so and so you look and see where the underpriced attention is, and that, my friend, is how we're going to come back here into the lower priced attention on TikTok. I actually think that right now what they have is just an inventory problem, right? And that brands haven't figured it out because brands now Triple Whale is the problem, right? Really, at the end of the day, Triple Whale is the problem because Triple Whale came along and said, we can tell you exactly how a customer journey happens. And TikTok was just inherently bad at that. The attribution off of TikTok was terrible. And yet you look at brands and you're like, wait, 40% of my post-purchase surveys say that they're coming from TikTok and 0 say that they're coming there on Triple Whale. It's like, well, who are you going to believe? Right?
Can I tell you who I believe? Triple Whale. Well, actually, I believe neither of them in that case. And because I just think post-purchase surveys like are extremely questionable in terms of self-reported data. Probably the actual answer is that they're both telling part of the truth, which is that
Totally.
I mean, what I really believe is my bank account. That's what I really believe. And so if you're posting and if you're running ads there and the dollars go up, then you win. But like, I think,
yes.
I think
I've got a better way. I've got a maybe a hot take here for you.
Yeah. Okay, great.
I think that if you just measure like an old school marketer would measure, which is just basically CPMs, and it's just basically like, hey, where can I find the most attention? I think about a brand that works with us that generally they're doing like 2 million-ish a month on the platform, which is good. They're getting between 50 and 100 million product views on their videos that have products. Think about that. 100 million views in like a $25 CPM environment is worth $2.5 million.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Well, I
like,
mean,
just think about it like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of views, right? So that's like, that makes sense that many views does net out, but that CPM is extremely low at that point, right? Like to be able to generate that much money, I think. Actually, I don't know. Is that not true?
I'm just using an average. I'm just using $25 because that's what Triple Whale had on their on the webinar that I did recently for TikTok. I've seen way higher CPMs on TikTok, by the way. I don't see that as far as ads are concerned.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the other thing that you're getting at here is interesting is just sort of like the general ability to create. If you were a brand and you wanted to go create more content on TikTok, would you go hire good TikTok creators to do it? Like essentially, like is that the actual answer for that next step? So like if you just make what the thing you said more actionable, like okay, the starting place, the third way is to just start making content on TikTok. Brands, I've watched clients of mine do that and just see all their content immediately die and just have no reach. Is that because they just have the wrong creators? Like, should they be going and doing a creator first strategy for that?
Yes. I still think so. Yes. So, but you're going to just need to make a ton of creative. And so what you need to do then is actually get those creators.
10 to 20, like literally 10 to 20 per day. You mentioned that number earlier. I wanted to come back to that. 10 to 20 pieces of creative per day.
There is no amount of creative that you can make on TikTok that is going to be too much.
That's so interesting. So there's no like algorithmic penalty for overposting?
No. It's not like other platforms like that, right? All that they want is good content that goes out there, and
right. So they don't care if you make a bajillion pieces, huh?
Just go ahead, just make as much content as you want for your brand. That's the important thing to remember here, right? And that's why this is such an incredible opportunity for brands. So let's talk about this creator first, like idea, right? And this creator centric idea. So here's what I think that the brand of the future looks like. They first go to TikTok and to TikTok shop. They find their people over there. And what that's going to take is it's going to take a lot of 80-20s, right? You're going to go 100 creators, 20 of them are going to be decent. 20% of those are going to be incredible. So now you've got 4 creators. That's going to be part of your pool. And you're just going to keep doing that over and over again. And when you find those 4 people, you're going to take those and you're going to say, hey, I'd love to give you, like, we love your content. I'd love for you to do 30 videos. I want to give you a retainer plus some sort of rev share.
How much would that cost, do you think? Just ballpark it. You've seen a lot of these deals. Just help people understand that.
$3,000 for 30 videos.
Cool. Great.
Right? So that, and then you're going to make sure, this is the biggest thing, make sure before they post a single video that you are getting rights to use those videos across platform. Now, one of the like sort of Jedi moves right now is that what you need to be doing is actually taking those videos and running them through a platform. You can use Social Snowball for this. You can use Refunnel for this. Refunnel actually has a really great like one-click whitelisting tool. So really like that. And they'll also pay out based on either CPMs or CPAs. And so you can actually run, and they plug into the Facebook API. So you can actually see based on attributed revenue through Facebook, which I think I'd still rather take that than I would take the affiliate link. Yeah. So I'd rather do that. Or what you can do too is you can then take those creators and say, hey, we just want to start, like, do you have a following on Facebook? Do you have a following on Instagram? If you do,
So let me just walk that back so I understand what you just suggested correctly, because I want to make sure I was clear about. We're clear about that.
We're opening loops. This is good. This is very good for watch time.
Well, yeah,
Andrew.
I also just want to make it really actionable for people. I'm the worst content creator because I never think about stuff like that. I just kind of talk. I probably would have a lot more downloads if I was smarter about organic content, but I'm terrible at it. So just to make this really actionable, so you pay. Let's just take your example. You pay $3,000. You seed to 100 creators, whatever. You start relationships. You end up with 4 that are good. You pay each of them $3,000. You pay that $3,000 for 30 posts. Now you've got 120 posts. Okay, and hopefully over time you're doing even more than that. But we'll start with those 120 posts. You on 4 creators.
Now, if you're paying $3,000, you probably actually don't need to pay them a percentage. So you could even go as low as like
this is exactly what I was going to
plus
ask.
A percentage.
Okay, so this is exactly what I was going to ask. So you think if you're paying $3,000, you probably automatically get the rights to that content for your other channels as part of the deal, because $3,000 is enough upfront to do that. Okay, great. So in that case, then, or you could try and do $1,000 up front, and then you can do some kind of like an affiliate deal or whatever, where they actually get a bunch of upside on the ad. Which one of those would you do? If you had the brand, would you pay somebody the $3,000, or would you pay somebody $1,000 with the upside?
I would do $1,000 with the upside, because I love win-win. Like, it's like the way that I do like sales contracts with people at my agency. Like, I want you to stick around as long as possible. I want you to be part of this brand. I want you to win when I win. I don't want to go back to the old way of us trying to arbitrage each other. Right? That's the old way of doing things, right? Like, I want it to be win-win. I want there to be like unlimited upside.
Are creators motivated by that? Because one of the things I've always found in sort of influencer creator relationships is that they just sometimes don't really get it. It's hard for them to track the metrics, etc. Like,
TikTok Shop has changed all that, Andrew.
Yeah,
that's
right. And
the thing.
That might be the answer. Yeah, right. Because it's so much clearer to them now that they have the upside in the deal. So yeah, okay.
Totally. The old way was awesome for influencers, right? Build up this big following. It's all like very murky. Right. And they don't really have to, like, there's no skin in the game. Right. That's a really important concept. Constantly, if you're like looking at like what way does the system work really well, everyone go read Hassim Taleb's Skin in the Game. Great book. It's really like this concept is incredibly incredibly sticky when it comes to the way that you work with people, because unless they actually, like, if you're just paying them straight up, they're just not going to care in the same way. And it's just human nature. It doesn't matter how good of a person they are. They're just not going to do well for you in the same sort of way.
Yeah. And so even if that does cut off some creator relationships who just want the money up front, who actually would be decent, that's okay, because that's actually inherent in the method. This is another place I see brands get frustrated, is that like what we just talked about was finding 4 really good creators out of 100. And what I regularly see brands do is like, I don't know, I took 10 shots out of this. I took 10 shots of this and it didn't work. And like, it just is too big of a headache. But what we're talking about is like, well, yeah, you didn't take enough shots yet, like, totally. And I think brands do get frustrated with this, but so brands need to enter this channel and this approach with the assumption that the vast majority are going to fail, and therefore not get discouraged when that happens, because you're actually trying to find just those 3 or 4 or whatever it is who really do a great job, and then incentivize them with upside and make sure to pay them, and don't resent paying them a lot of money when they make you a lot of money.
Totally, because they are going to make you a lot of money, and then they're going to make a lot of money as well, right? And that's incredible. Like, we have creators in our network who have like paid their houses off in a year.
Oh yeah.
It's wild. Yeah. It is absolutely wild.
Brands just hate writing big checks. They get so annoyed by it, especially when they do the math on how much time went into it versus something else. Like I think brands have a very hard time with this idea that the video only took them like 5 minutes to make or whatever. They just picked up their phone. Like, why should I pay them this much money for it? And it's like, don't do that calculation. Don't do that. Don't. That's not what you're paying for. You're paying for brains, right?
I was going to say, so when people come to me and there's software that I really like and I'm going to talk about it, I always prefer there to be some sort of like incentive deal. And so I did this recently with a software company, blew it up. Like they had so many users. Their checks to me were so massive, they just stopped paying. They're like, no, like, we know your newsletter rate's way lower. And I'm like, so you did, like, this is what you wanted to do. I don't want to call them out. They're lovely people, but it is totally that, where it's like, well, you just sent an email. It's like, Yes, I'm also
No, I
putting my
didn't.
trust on the line.
Yeah, and actually, it's the old Picasso illustration. Not to say that we're Picasso or that a TikTok creator is Picasso, right? But the old thing is like, there's some anecdote about somebody says, "Oh, meets Pablo Picasso and says, 'Can you paint a picture of me?'" He takes 15 minutes, he paints the picture, hands it to her, and says, "That'll be $30,000 or whatever." And she goes, "Well, wait, that only took 15 minutes," and he says, "No, that took a lifetime," right? And again, so there's something to that, which is the idea that you're not actually paying for the widget. You got to stop making a widget calculation with these things that have outsized opportunity in your brand. You have to make a calculation instead of like, okay, the people who are strategically good and who are making content that makes money for me are the most valuable thing I can get in my business. If I can get relationships with those people who can create ads at scale for me, pay them, let them make money. And people also do this with Facebook all the time. This is a rant now. People do this with Facebook all the time where they'll be like, "Hey, we'll take a Facebook ROAS of 2-to-1," but then on their other channels, they're like, "I'm going to pay an affiliate commission of 10%." So you want a 10-to-1 on affiliate,
Totally.
but you're taking a 2-to-1 on Facebook. Like,
yeah.
Why?
Yeah, makes
Why
no
would you
and
do
that's
that?
when you go into TikTok Shop, think about that exact same thing, right? We tell people, we're like, hey, at first, give them 40% commission because nobody's doing 40%. They're like, well, that's way too much. I'm like, that's like 2.3 or 2.2 or something.
2.5. Yeah.
Oh, 2.5.
Like,
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. The amount of brands that would be dying at scale for a 2.5 ROAS. Right. And we know that the majority of this is net new revenue you wouldn't have had anyway, and net new eyeballs.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Right.
Does that
because
still
no
work?
one's spending on TikTok.
Does offering a bigger commission work, or do you just end up attracting like sort of lazy people who want a big number?
100%. No. It works with high GMV creators because they know if they go and look at the product, they're like, oh, wow, okay, I can make 40% on this. Now, generally, go and make sure that your ad commission is a lot lower. Right. So don't run your ad commission at 40%. That's too much because then you're going to be spending on ads and them. And that's fine. They're just looking at the top number, the organic number anyway. So I would do like 10% on ads because you are going to still need, I mean, like we've gotten some CPAs down to like $4. That's not normal. But like, imagine you're still going to have a fairly decent chunk of CPA in amongst there as well.
I think I have one more major question for you, Jordan. Help me think about identifying creators a little bit more. In your worldview here, I mean, you fully transitioned your agency away from being meta ads focused into TikTok Shop focused. You are as all in on this as anyone possible, which is why I like talking to you about it. Like you have really put your money where your mouth is on this on this thesis. In fact, I remember talking to you.
Kind of, yes, I have, but yet we still spend millions of dollars a month on Facebook.
Yeah, I know, but it's not how you talk about yourselves. Like, you changed. Yeah. And so, and I remember talking to you at, when we met at e-commerce roundtable in San Diego, and I said, well, what happens if TikTok goes away? And you said, it doesn't really matter because like, first of all, I don't think it will. But secondly, this is the future of how all these platforms are going to work. It's not really about an individual platform. It's about creator relationships with brands, which is the thing that is going to matter. That's the way you framed it to me at the time. And I thought that was really insightful and a good bet. I mean, I thought, again, it reflected integrity in the bet you're making. So help me though think about like the starting place in terms of finding these creator relationships. This is a place where I see a lot of brands get stuck. Like how should I go about starting to try to find the right creators for myself if I'm a younger brand, let's just say. I don't put it whatever number you want, but a younger brand.
So this is where I really think that TikTok Shop comes in, whether or not you are going to be successful on TikTok Shop, right? And actually sell a lot on TikTok Shop. It is the easiest place to get into right now and find creators, right? There's over 1 million creators now that are active there. Now, a vast majority of them have no revenue. So I would just start right there. Make sure that they've actually made revenue before. Reach out to those creators. So use one of the bots that are out there. I recommend Reacher. I love those guys. I've consulted with them and advised them for a long time. I think they're building some really cool stuff. Use one of those tools to reach out to people. Also, take advantage of some of these bigger creator networks that you can tap into, right? So off the start, you can pay a little bit of money and then access these bigger creator networks. I would highly recommend doing that. And then have some sort of compelling offer to be able to do that.
Okay, that makes sense. So TikTok Shop, and then have your offer be compelling, which is like the thing we talked about, right? Like 40% commission or whatever it is, right? Where you're offering a bigger amount up front, right? But let's talk about that middle one you talked about, which is creator networks. Just again, be really specific for people who are not as familiar with this. Like, what creator networks are you talking about? How do people find that?
Yeah, so there's a bunch of them out there. Social Commerce Club has one. So a lot of brands work with us just on our creator network. So they come in and tap into our creator network. They're called TikTok Shop Affiliate Partners, or TAPs. So if you ever hear anyone use the term TAP, that's what they are. Social Army is one of them that you guys can go check out. Essentially, they're the ones that facilitate the relationship between a big amount of creators and a brand, right? And so you can go and do that. Some are great, some are not. Outlandish has a good one. There's a bunch of them out there. So if you start searching TikTok Shop Affiliate Partner, that's where you're going to be able to find the right one. Some of them are like in certain areas, like mom goods, right? There's some that are like just for moms. That's where I would kind of start your search, and even just put it out on Twitter. Right. See, like there's a lot of agencies out there who are accumulating these kinds of creators and trying to, like, we have a huge amount of staff that just cares for our creators. It's crazy. Like, because we really do believe that they're at the center of all of this.
Yeah. Did we not talk about anything that you wanted to talk about? Dude, let me just give you a space for where I didn't ask the right questions. What did I miss that you wanted to hit?
So I don't think that the CPMs on TikTok, we're going to come back here.
Okay, let's do it.
I don't think that the CPMs on TikTok are reflective of the efficacy of TikTok. I think that they're reflective of...
You're talking about ads, right? TikTok ads?
TikTok ads, yeah.
Okay.
Of the market's view of TikTok, not the actual efficacy of finding products and blowing brands up and being the actual top of funnel for brands. I think it's actually the opposite. I think that it is like, I'll Gary VS here. I think that it is the most underpriced attention that is still on the internet right now.
That's because people aren't measuring it correctly, basically, you're saying? It's more incremental than it looks based on something like Triple Whale or whatever?
Yes, exactly. And the first place that people go after TikTok is Amazon. Again, tell me how you can somehow measure that.
Yeah. Well, with an incrementality study is the way you do it. But that's interesting. It does sound like an argument for more incrementality studies for TikTok and to work with an incrementality partner or something like that to give that a closer look. Cause I think
look at the proliferation of MMMs right now, right? They're everywhere. Right? Like,
yeah, and they're not going to tell you the answer to this question very well. I mean, you probably don't know this about me, Jordan, but I'm skeptical of MTAs and MMMs as a general rule, and think that they're one of the most over invested in things in all of e-commerce. I just don't think that they're that useful across the board. Incrementality studies are much more interesting to me. And MMMs as a way to guide incrementality studies, that is interesting to me. But on their own, I think they're things telling you that they are telling you the truth, but they're not really necessarily telling you the truth.
They're like going to a doctor for 99% of things, like the same sort of idea. I forget what that word is, but Hassim Taleb actually uses that in another book, Anti-Fragile.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
And so, I mean, either way, that would be the reason that they would be underpriced in the truest sense, which is that they actually, as the market's view of it is not in keeping with the actual true value of it. So I accept that argument. I don't know enough about that. I think it's probably wrong in the sense that like I think TikTok has been here long enough now to where that if that was really true, it would have been solved by now. But I accept that as a reasonable pathway to how you could be right about this. Like I just
want to tell you,
it makes sense. Like, yeah,
anecdotally, this is, again, all data is made of stories. Okay. Anecdotally, I have had between 7 and 10 Amazon agencies try to acquire us because of TikTok Shop, because they see every single one of their brands that is on Amazon go to TikTok and blow up. Like Goalie's agency, for instance.
No question in the world that the thing that people like are terrible at measuring is your D2C, your quote unquote D2C ad channels impact on your Amazon business. Everybody sucks at measuring this. Everybody, they all suck at it. And then you add the retail element of that and they're even worse at it. And so, yeah, that would be a really good argument for why you're right about this. I think is that, like, essentially, especially if you have Amazon, it's going to have so much impact there that people are just sleeping on it. So, Jordan West, it's great to talk again, man. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for letting me argue with you a little bit here. Are we still friends? Are we cool?
Even better friends. Even better friends. I loved this. Thanks for having me on. I had a bunch of people in your audience reach out last time, by the way. So
great.
Thanks, everyone.
I'm so glad. Good. Reach out again. That's a good segue. Where should people reach out to you? Obviously, socialcommerceclub.com is the website. I mentioned that, or it's in the show notes as well. But tell people again. Anything else about where to follow you, where to listen to you?
Yeah, come to YouTube. I'm really active on YouTube these days. If you find Jordan West something, Jordan West e-commerce. Search me there. It'd be like a pink background, pink or purple, something like that.
Isn't that my fault? Is that what you told me before, that I helped you get on YouTube? Is that not true?
Well, I just saw, I've had my podcast, guys. I have like close to 700 episodes and I was never on YouTube. And then I realized, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm getting like thousands of views on YouTube when I started to put it out, and it's so easy. And I love being on camera.
Great. Well, when you look that good. Okay. So thanks, Jordan. Appreciate your time so much. Follow up with Jordan on YouTube, on socialcommerceclub.com. Go work with Social Commerce Club to do this work for you, to tap into their creator network, all the things that we just talked about. He really knows his stuff. As you can tell, he has done this a lot for a lot of brands that are very big. Having done TikTok shops for over 100 brands is nothing to sneeze at. That's like a real thing. It means you've seen what hasn't worked and you've seen what worked, and seeing what hasn't worked is as important as seeing what works. So go give Jordan a follow in all the relevant places. Jordan, thanks again for your time, man.
Thanks, Andrew.
Before you turn this podcast off, go subscribe wherever you're watching or listening. I have all kinds of great episodes coming up. If you like this conversation, you'll like more of them. But big thanks to Jordan for letting me argue with him and push back on him. We were talking about how it was fun to argue a little bit. And I really learned a lot from that conversation. So I hope you did too. I'll for sure have Jordan on again in the future. So like I said, subscribe wherever you are watching or listening. Also, big thanks to More Staffing and to FERMAT. I'm a big fan of both of those organizations. Go check them out for all of the needs that you have around staffing your e-commerce business with great talent from the Philippines with More Staffing. And go to fermatcommerce.com/AF. To get best-in-class funnel building software. You should follow up with everything I'm doing at ajfgrowth.com. You can reach out if you want to try and work with me in AJF Growth for your business. You can fill in the intake form there. It probably says right now still that I'm not taking on any clients, but I might be at some point. So reach out to me. Let's start a conversation. And then email me at podcast@ajfgrowth.com. I'd love to hear from you there. Thanks so much for watching or listening. I'll see you next time.